Good morning, my brothers and sisters. We're going to go pure Hollywood today on episode 271 of Be With Me. So the year is 1979. Ridley Scott came out with a terrifying movie called Alien. And Sigourney Weaver got more famous in this movie. And Alien was a fictional endoparasitoid extraterrestrial xenomorph species, which at one point in the movie, a very famous scene where in the second stage of its life cycle, affixed itself to the face of one of the astronauts, and they try to get it off, and it's a thing, but it's a creature that has 8 kind of crab-like legs and a long tail, and it's very firmly bound to this man. He's trapped by it, and that is the image that I want you to have with this particular passage, and you'll see what I mean here in just a second. I think it's a really good picture. And this is from Luke chapter 13, and the character in the story, or the person in the story, is a woman. We don't find out her name. And this is from verse 10. Now he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And there was a woman who had a disabling spirit for 18 years. So that's her spirit problem, and then it talks about a physical problem. They're almost two different things. Here's this physical problem. She was bent over and could not fully straighten herself. And I've never noticed this before. I was in this business for a long time, the bent over business and the non-straightened business. Why didn't anyone tell me that this was in the Bible? So she had either some sort of a kyphosis, which is a bending forward, or a scoliosis, which is a bending sideways, or usually it's a combination 3-dimensional twisty thing, which is what I'm imagining in my mind. All right, verse 12. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, "Woman, you are freed from your disability." And he already told us what the disability was, this disabling spirit, and maybe less so the body part. And he laid hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God. And then you get this knucklehead here. But the ruler of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, said to the people, "There are 6 days in which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be healed, not on the Sabbath day." And Jesus answered, and then the Lord answered him, "You hypocrites, does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox, or loose his ox, or his donkey from the manger, and lead it away to water it?" Verse 16, "And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, who Satan bound for 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day?" And as he said these things, all his adversaries were put to shame, and all the people rejoiced at the glorious things that were done by him. So here's the image. 18 years of this. Satan, I don't know if it's Satan that is the creature that's on this woman, or Satan is the power behind the creature behind this woman. But basically, the image I wanted to go with today was that face hugger image. For those of you who have seen the movie, you can't forget it. Bound on this woman for 18 years. And Jesus does a couple great things. He sees her, he calls her over, she obeys him, and then he speaks to her and addresses her personally, and then immediately fixes her. So the setting is on the Sabbath. That's a problem, and in my opinion, it's almost a minor part of the story. This whole interaction with the ruler of the synagogue, and what does the Sabbath mean, and how they interpret that. Then it's populated by people, because at the end of the story, people, plural, are rejoicing at the glorious things that were done with him. And then adversaries, plural, are being put to shame. and then this ruler of the synagogue. Now, this is not the synagogue in Jerusalem. This is a little synagogue in one of the other towns that he visits. In fact, it doesn't even tell you what town. And then you have this woman, and what a great day she has, where the Lord speaks to her and uses her as an example and elevates her. I just love at the end, he says, verse 16, ought not this woman, daughter of Abraham? So she is addressed as a daughter of Abraham. And we find out later on in the New Testament what that means to be a daughter of Abraham. It's not just a genetic DNA kind of a thing. The true daughters and sons of Abraham are those who have faith. So apparently this woman was a believer as much as she had information. She was faithful. And then I think the coolest part of this passage, other than the great image of the facehugger problem, is verse 16, where Jesus says, and ought not this woman. In other words, he's saying it shouldn't be like this. Satan shouldn't have the power to facehug somebody for 18 years. Now, Jesus has the power to sort of make that go away instantly, and also that's not just the disabled spirit, but this disabled body. So what a great story where he gives this woman the good stuff, and he says instantly to this disabling, binding, holding on spirit, let go. And the disabling physical thing that she's also experiencing, the scoliosis. So I want to put you forward to 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now. Satan won't be bound, won't binding anything. There won't be a physical problem. There won't be this disabled spirit that we see here. There's not going to be crying. There's not going to be death. Satan is not going to be ruling in hell. He's going to be ruined in hell. He's going to be wrecked in hell. And all bindings of Satan, if you will have been released. Creation will have been released. Death will have been released. Decay will have been released. It's just the tentacles that we see here that are bound to the human race physically, and the tentacles that are bound to the human race mentally, that these things that weigh us down and disable us, they're going to be released. So ought not she be freed? The answer is yes. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll explain more.